What is going on, guys? Twitchy Tango here. I know I should have done this a few days ago, but your boy was fighting an upper respiratory infection and he is finally somewhat 100%. But I wanted to cover this, not really a long video. If you didn't buy into the other bullcrap that is 4chan leaks, Reddit leaks, then you know this was coming because I'm sure even the director, Bayashi san, saw these leaks and like, why do people assume I'm cutting stuff? I get it, guys, because Resident Evil 3 Remake was cut so much down, you want to assume the worst, but I don't think these are one of these situations because Capcom generally knows how much people love Resident Evil 4, which I guess you can't really make that argument because a lot of people love Resident Evil 3. But it was a company that part of the development team that knows what they're doing with game development, which I believe is Dev 1 that's working on the remake. M2 was originally going to work on Resident Evil 4 remake, but after the horrendous reception of 3 remake, which honestly I think 4 remake was already in development and M2 was working on it, but they were taken out of the picture because of how poor the reception was. 3 was done. But Yashi-san has confirmed the game will feature the village, castle, the island. So if you didn't buy into the utter crap that is 4chan leaks or Reddit leaks, then you know this was gonna be confirmed either way. We took 100 individual small elements that make up the original gameplay experience and remade and polished these building blocks. So when I see something like that, I'm thinking I'm thinking the island was a big thing that they took a look at and thought, wow, the pacing is pretty bad. Which it's funny. I think Capcom has this issue with like their last half of their game, like the final stretch, the home stretch, if it were, where the pacing just goes absolutely bonkers and all over the place. At least that's just kind of my thought process into that, because that's the only thing I can generally think of. You look at 7, I think the pacing was great up until the last half. Village, pacing was great up until the factory. Pacing with Resident Evil 4 from the island or from village to castle into island, pacing all the way. Capcom has this issue with their last half of their game where the pacing just goes all over the place. So when I see something like that, I'm very much hoping that a big thing for me is JJ. We all love JJ. He's great in moderation, not every few seconds getting put together with chain guns. You see, that's what the one thing I want to see more of is a change. You know, people were saying, well, if they make it more horror focused and take away the gameplay, it's going to suck. I don't think it's going to. Just less chain guns and JJs. That's all I'm saying. That's, I think, what a lot of people want is less chain guns and JJs. And Bayashi concluded by saying, yes, this remake is a very much the sum of many parts. When you bruh we took 100 individual small elements to make up the original gameplay experience and remade and polished these building blocks, which is great. And and but this is part of the article. I wasn't going to pay $4 for this article. I just wasn't. Not for something I can just look like this. Uh, so I'm going to read this as best as I can. You guys won't be able to see it, but this is what I got. The team was divided into independent subgroups, each given a different area to develop the village, the castle, the island. These teams worked separately before their work was brought together to see how each overhauled element worked with others to create a holistic experience, I guess. Our approach was quite granular, Bayashi-san explains. Rather than saying, oh, this is a bit that we struggled to make in the original due to technical limitations that we can now perfect, we took 100 individual small elements that make up the original gameplay experience and remade and polished these building blocks, was what you said. That might be the controls, the moving and aiming, the lighting of each scene, every single element, individual element has been considered. We developed the drama, specifically the characters, the interactions between characters, which, again, one of my biggest criticisms of the original. But if you take into the context of that, Masha, not Masha, Mikami-san did this in 3 weeks. He had a 3-week deadline and created a story in 3 weeks. Yes, this remake is very much the sum of many parts, but Yashi-san concludes, while attempting to remain true to the original game's strength, the team had certainly not shied away from identifying its weaknesses, or at least pinpointing those areas most in need of a contemporary overhaul. There you go. So when that comes to mind, not shying away from identifying its weaknesses, I can think of a few things with castle, village, island, but mainly the island is where I focus on, which is the last hour of the game where it just goes off kilter, off the track. So I see something like that, and that really makes me hopeful that that last hour won't be as balls to the walls as their original was. I discussed with the director Yashiro Anpo where we can improve things like the aiming, the movement, and the character, and things that become barriers to the entry for those used to how modern the things that become barriers to entry for those used to how modern games play. Bayashi-san explains this is still a game about managing resources. Ammunition is limited. In every face-off, you must decide whether to spare a bullet, or make a lunge with a knife. And the sense of frustration when you miss a headshot is as keen as it was in 2005. Can agree, missing those crits, those headshots can be ball breaking. And the sense of, but everything feels smooth and contemporized. Aiming down the sights is no longer slow and twitchy. Hey, that's me. When it comes to missed shots or ammo overspins, there is no longer any doubt where the fault lies. The fundamental beats of Resident Evil 4 schlocky B-movie storyline, all-American hero visits home on primitive non-English-speaking farm folk to rescue President's daughter, codenamed Baby Eagle, are unlikely to change. So that's pretty much going to stay the same way, but the team has evidently been eager to update the way in which the story is delivered. Leon brings a certain kind of wit to the experience, but Yashi-san says, we've developed the character drama, specifically the interactions between characters and their personalities. The original game was more gamey in the sense story scenes were mostly there to serve the pacing of the gameplay. Single player story games have developed since then, and they have greatly so. So it's been important to integrate the storyline elements. We try to make sure that this remake feels like a thoroughly modern story based single player experience in that sense. Naturally, working on a game that is so beloved, which many consider to be the apex of the series, I think we can agree that Resident Evil 4 Remake is really where it peaked. I'm trying to find where I'm at. Oh, peak apex of the series has not been without its pressure, yet its expectations are high. Bayashi-san says, we feel a great deal of apprehension to see how our work goes down, but we have tried to have fun as we work on the game. That's important. This has been important to create the kind of atmosphere to help dispel the tension. Likewise, Resident Evil 4 is a game strongly associated with its widely admired original director, Shinji Mikami, whose absence on the project has at times felt keenly. It would have been nice to have him to still be around to run things by, Bayashi-san admits, but on the other hand, the team features many individuals who work closely with Mikami, as well as director Yashiro Anpo. Jun Takaichi has worked as executive producer, while Kinzori Kaido, I'm pretty sure I am slaughtering these names, and I am so sorry for the disrespect I'm putting to these people, who worked on the original Resident Evil. He famously became the first member of staff to complete the game using only a knife. Nice. Has provided additional oversight. So while I miss Mikami-san, Bayashi-san says we have so many veterans working on the team that I'm sure we'll be able to get by without them. So that was a lot of people's concerns with this game, and when it launched or when it was announced, is Mikami-san not being on it, which I can understand. He left to do Ghostwire Studios, so the fact that they want to be able to put a respect to his name is nothing short of amazing while doing their own thing. Again, I have no concerns about this remake because I feel like it's going to be good. As I've said time and time again, Resident Evil 1 HD is remastered, should be the gold standard for how you remake a game that's years old. And I'm very excited. Gonna kind of want to hear what you guys think on this. Now that we kind of know everything, we kind of know what's going on with the game, we are excited for it. Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed the content, leave a like. If you love the content enough, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. And as always, internet, I love you all. I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.